Welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about investments and religion. So in my life, many times religious people, particularly Muslims and Christians, they come to me and tell me, thanks for all your financial information, but I will not invest because I believe that investing is a sin. Or if they are Muslims, they tell me investing is haram, and so I will not invest. So let's go through why I think that's false, and you are being misled by your priest or by your imam. And I don't want to be a heretic. I don't want to insult your religion. I fully respect religions, and as you know, or maybe you don't, I was raised Christian, and I read the Quran. I had a few years in which I practiced Islam. I'm not an imam, I'm not a priest, but I very well know the scriptures, and I very well know finance, and I can tell you that if you are not investing because you think it's haram or you think it's a sin, you are being misled. So let me explain you why. Let's examine the scriptures and see what they say about being forbidden, about what is a sin, what is haram. So particularly related to the financial sphere. So both, especially in the Quran, but also in the Bible, what is forbidden, what is considered a sin, what is considered haram, it's gambling, lending money with interest rate, in other words, usury, and like corruption or non-fair, being unfair in trading, basically scamming and stuff like that. But there is no direct quote on like you cannot invest, right? So now you cannot invest in anything that is either gambling or has interest rates in it, or it's kind of corrupt. So that's what you should stay away from. So indeed, is investing gambling? Is investing interest rate? Is investing corruption? It depends. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So let's go through it. Let's start from gambling. So of course, if you're using high leverage and you're buying meme coins, or you are betting on sports game, you're betting on Polymarket, on whatever, that's gambling, right? So yeah, that's a sin, that's haram. But now, is investing in stocks or a company or Bitcoin or any crypto, is that haram? Is that a sin? Well, to me it's not, because that's not gambling. Gambling means you're taking a contract, you're buying a contract that you either win or you lose everything, right? That's basically, you are putting your money in a place where you know that it's gonna go either to zero or it's gonna double or whatever the gamble is, right? But when you're investing, that's not exactly the same thing, right? Because you can still sell. Let's say you buy a stock, you buy, I don't know, Apple stock, Amazon stock, whatever stock, or you buy Bitcoin, whatever you buy, it goes down 10%, 20%, 30%. You can take that and trade it for something else. It's not going to zero. So that's not gambling. And also the intention, I argue that the intention is very important, right? Like, if you're gambling, when you're gambling, your intention is, oh, I'm either gonna lose this money or I'm gonna double it. In one day, I'm gonna make 100, 200, 1000% gain on my bet. That's gambling, right? When you buy Bitcoin, you buy a stock, you buy gold, whatever you buy, you're not saying, oh, I will make 100% in 2 hours. Or otherwise I'm going to lose it all. It's more like a long-term, a responsible action. So yeah, so I just wrote this whole post, you can check it out, where I go exactly through all the different details of why I don't think it's a sin. And by the way, this is also true for Buddhists, right? Buddhists also have kind of 10 non-virtues or to avoid, or 10 virtues to respect. Like the Christians have the 10 commandments, and the Muslims have their commandments. And one of these non-virtues, in other words, kind of sins or haram, one of these things for Buddhists is to act based on a wrong view. Basically, to act based on ignorance. And, thinking that Bitcoin goes to zero, it's ignorant, And the same is true if you're a Muslim. So if you're a Buddhist and you're saying, oh, no, I'm not buying Bitcoin because it's like gambling, that's the wrong view. If you are a Muslim and you think, oh, I'm not buying Bitcoin because that's like gambling, that's not true. You are acting out of a lie. So, and that itself, it's kind of a sin, right? Because you're acting out of ignorance, out of fear, out of greed, not out of, respect of yourself and say, okay, I studied, I know what it is, and I know it cannot go to zero. People still tell me it can go to zero. That's another video of itself, but if you have a little bit of intelligence, it cannot go to zero. For many, many, many reasons, it cannot go to zero. It may be go down 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, but it's not going to zero. And the same is true for like, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, any big company or any real company, it's not gonna go to zero, right? You may lose 50%, 60%, 70% of your value, but that's the same if you maybe buy a house or buy a car. Whatever you buy, you can lose money on the investment. But a company cannot go to zero because they still have like physical assets, they still have business, and even if they go bad, even if they go down in revenue or they do something bad, there's still some value there. And the same is true for Bitcoin, even though you may think it's made out of thin air. It's not. I already explained it in the other videos, and you can go and check them out. But so thinking that, oh, I'm not buying Bitcoin, I'm not buying stocks, I'm just putting money in the bank because it's haram, it's a sin, that's wrong. So let's go through the actual direct quotes from the holy books, the Quran and the Bible. So again, I don't want to offend anybody with this video. I actually want to educate you. If you're a Muslim, stay a Muslim. If you're a Christian, stay a Christian. Be faithful and respectful and keep praying and whatever. This is not an heretic video. This is something that is just gonna make you think about, maybe you've been told that investing is haram. You've been told that investing is a sin, but where is it in the book? Where does the Quran say that investing is a sin? Let's go through it. There isn't actually a quote that says that investing is a sin. There isn't a quote that says even trading is a sin. There isn't even a quote from either the Quran or the Bible that says that investing in risky things is a sin. There isn't. What there are instructions to stay away from the three things I just said: gambling, interest rates, usually, and corruption or scamming and telling lies, stuff like that. So Bitcoin and stocks are not gambling if you do it properly. They do not charge interest rate, and except maybe some platforms or some stocks, but pure Bitcoin or buying pure Tesla, buying pure Amazon, pure whatever stock, there's no interest rates. And lastly, they are not corrupt, right? And there's no falsehood, there's no lies in Bitcoin, there's no lies in, buying Apple stock. Or I don't necessarily like or recommend buying Apple stock, but I'm just making an example. There's no lying, there's no corruption, right? At least that you know of. Now for Bitcoin, it's easier to know that there is no corruption. But anyway, let's stick to the quote from the Quran. Again, I cannot read Arabic, but I reported you here the quote from Arabic in case you can read it yourself. So yeah, I'm being kind of faithful. I hope this is the right translation. But the translation here says, oh you who have believed in intoxicant gambling, etc., etc. These are just defilement from the work of Satan. So avoid it, that you may be successful. Another one is, they ask you about wine and gambling, right? And say, in them is great sin and benefit for people. So, some people are benefit from you gambling, but not you, because it's a great sin, right? And these people benefit. Their sin is even greater than their benefit. So they are benefit when they either win a bet, or they are the platform organizing the bet platform. They may be materially benefiting, but their sin is greater than their benefit. So again, gambling is haram. Looking at the Bible, actually, I was kind of surprised that there is no direct quote of gambling. Maybe because the Bible is a bit older, like a few centuries older than the Quran. So maybe there was no gambling there. I don't think so. I don't know. But still, there are some kind of quotes like people who desire. For example, here is Timothy. People who desire to be rich fall into temptation. So, the love of money is the root of all evils. It's more about it's craving, which kinds of relate to, attachment to money, all of that. Not necessarily gambling, but still, it doesn't say you cannot invest. It doesn't say you cannot trade. So, we now go through the Quran yourself, go to your Imam and ask him about it. Ask your Imam to bring you the direct quote from the Quran where it says that investing is haram. Ask him why investing in Bitcoin is haram. Ask him why, why is it gambling? It's not, okay? And the Bible, you go to your priest and ask the same questions, and you'll be surprised that they cannot provide an answer on why it is haram, because it's not. So we got gambling done. Now let's go to the second one, which is usury. So basically, lending money, or on the other side, one lends and the other one borrows money, right? So either lending money or even borrowing money with an interest rate, right? That's directly considered a sin, right? Like directly considered a sin. So let's go through the quotes right there from the Quran. Those who consume interest cannot stand on the day of resurrection, except as one stands who is being beaten by Satan into insanity. So basically, the Quran is saying interest rate is a work of Satan that got you into insanity, thinking that it's okay to lend with interest. Because that's what they say. Because, as the Quran says, I'm just reading the Quran, that is because they say trade is like interest. But Allah has permitted trade. Allah has permitted trade. Allah has permitted trade. This is a direct quote. Allah has permitted trade and has forbidden interest. Again, another quote, Allah destroys interest. And then another one, do not consume usury. Direct quote from the Quran, 1, 2, 3, 4 quotes. They say, yes, you can invest. Actually, here it says trade, trading, investing is the same thing. You can invest, but interest rates usually will bring you basically to hell. That's what it's saying. It's Satan work, right? It's Satan leading you into insanity. Oops. So yeah. So I don't understand. And the same thing is true for the Bible, by the way, Exodus 22:25, you shall not exact interest. Ezekiel, this is my favorite. Lending at interest and take profit. So here, basically, they're talking about somebody who did usury, and they're saying, he lends at interest and takes profit. Shall he then leave? He shall not leave. He has done this abomination. He shall surely. I cannot read this. I cannot read this, but because I'm gonna be shadow banned, this video is gonna be taken down from YouTube. But you understand the point. The Bible is even more dire. The Bible is saying, you gotta go. If you did interest rate, you gotta go. There's no such thing. So yes, both the Bible and the Quran says you can do trade, but no interest rate. Yet, my dear friends, let's go and say, let's go and take like a fully Muslim state. And then we're going to do the same for a fully Christian state. There's no discrimination here, I love all Muslim, I respect Islam, I respect Christianity, but the point here is to highlight the corruption and the psychological operations that you are being subjected to. And, let's check it out and see, for example, Syria, okay? Syria, it's a fully Muslim country in which the Sharia, it's low, right? Like the Quran is low in Syria. So the question is, do Syrian banks charge interest rates for loans, such as mortgages? So do Syrian banks, when they lend money, do they charge interest rates? Because, they are Muslim, but being Muslim, they should not charge interest rate. Yet, yes, banks in Syria charge interest rates for loan, including mortgages. See? And the same is for, by the way, this let's see the interest rates. Okay, recent data indicates market interest rates for loans can be around 18%, guys. So they say you cannot invest in stocks, you cannot invest in Bitcoin because it's haram. It's not written on the Quran, but you can get a loan for 18% interest rate. 18% interest rate, that's a lot. So let's go to another bank like Morocco. Morocco, fully Muslim country. There's a king, the king is Muslim. Do Moroccan banks charge interest rate for their loans? Yes. They offer mortgages often ranging between 4.5 and 5%. Indonesian. I have friends in Indonesia who are Muslim. Do Indonesian banks charge interest rates for the mortgage? Yes. Generally between 8 and 14% annually. That's full usury. That's haram. Do Kashmiri, Kashmir is fully Muslim place. Do banks in Jammu and Kashmir charge interest rates on mortgaging? Yes. approximately 7 to 9% interest rate per annum, guys. And then you tell me it's haram to buy Bitcoin. Then you tell me it's haram to buy stocks and educate yourself financially. No, it's haram to offer 7 to 8%, or like they do in Indonesia, 8 or 14%, or in Syria they do almost 19%. Come on, guys. Saudi banks, same. Yes, they charge. Okay, Moroccan banks, they charge. Indonesian banks, they charge. Kashmiri banks, they charge. Syrian bank, they charge. And by the way, I missed something. Of course, Muslim banks offer something called, you see, for example, in Syria, Islamic banking, okay, banks operate under different regulations, and they cannot charge interest rate. Instead, they use Sharia compliant methods where the bank buys the property and sells it to the client at a higher price. But it's the same thing. It's actually the same thing. And again, you can see like Saudi Arabia also. It's called murabaha, or leasing, basically. Okay. So, you know, Sharia compliance, profit rates versus interest. Okay. So, but the thing is, you are technically not paying interest. You're not paying interest, but still there is a profit rate or margin. Okay. So I have the full explanation here in my Patreon essay, and you can read it for yourself. If you go and buy a house that is worth 1 million with a mortgage with a 5% annual interest rate, okay, not halal, you will pay after 20 years this price, 1.5 million. The same price you're gonna pay if you have a halal lending, okay, which is again called murabaha. I cannot pronounce it, but you're not paying an interest rate on paper, but you will still pay the same amount, right? So you're getting a loan for 1 million for something that is worth 1 million, and you're paying 1.5 million for it. This is the case of 5% annual interest rate. And remember, Indonesia had 19% interest rate, okay? Syria had 14% interest rate. Sorry, the opposite. And then, other countries have 7% interest rate, 8% interest rate. So the point is that the thing that is haram, it's the fact that the borrower is still pays more than what is lent to him. That's the haram thing. So, you know, banks coming and say, oh, you see, we are not charging interest rates, riba, we are doing a Sharia compliant methods. But still, you are paying the surplus. You understand? You get a loan for 1 million worth, and you're paying 1.5 million or whatever, it's depending on the environment of the bank, because the bank still has to pay the interest rates and then sell the halal product, financial product to you. So you say, oh, I'm not paying the interest rate, but you're still paying the interest rate. So I hope you understand this. And yeah, this is the real actual problem. Let's take it, I cannot really do the same for Christians, because like that there is no like a fully Christian country, but I don't know, let's just ask, does the Vatican banks, I'm not sure there are banks, in the Vatican, but yeah, okay, there are banks in Vatican City. I still learn things. And do Vatican banks charge interest rates for loans? Actually, the Vatican Bank does not make loans. Oh, okay. So yeah. No, okay. We don't really know. So let's take Armenia, which is like, you could say, um, a very Christian country. Do they charge? Whoops. Yes, they charge interest at 13.6%. So the whole thing, it's corrupt. All right. They say they are a Muslim state and they don't respect the Quran. They say they are a Christian state, the Christian state, and they don't respect the Bible. So we are run by a satanic elite. We all know about that with the Epstein file coming out. We knew that before. We didn't need the Epstein files. So yeah, there you have it, bro. And it kind of drives me crazy that I have friends who tell me I'm not gonna go buy Bitcoin because it's haram. Where is it haram? It isn't written. But they do go out and take mortgages to buy houses, to buy cars, to buy an iPhone, and that they then pay interest rate, which is haram. And the same, I have parents who are fully Christians and very observant Christians. And sometimes they say, oh, we are against this type of living, investing and stuff, but they have mortgages for their whole life on which they pay interest. So please, people, try to think about this. And last, let's just go through the third point, which is fair trade and justice, right? Quran, no corruption. So the Quran says, give full measure when you measure, and weight with an even balance. Give full measure, weight in justice. Do not commit abuse. Do not spread corruption. The Bible says, as we have the parable of talents, and here, well, it says about basically doubling your money. Invest, he said, to invest and double it, earning, right? So, it's talking about earning. So it's talking about invested money with the bankers, you see? So then it talks about interest, but this is talking about return on investment, not really interest. So, it's just saying that you can invest. But that's another quote from Proverbs 20:23. Unusual ways are an abomination to the Lord, and false scales are not good. So again, in conclusion, investing in safe, non-corrupt businesses is not a sin. It's not haram. Investing in well-researched stock with the intent of humbling, managing your wealth, but increasing your wealth, it's not a sin. It's a natural right to increase your wealth because you want to have a family, because you want to, it's a natural right. It's not a sin. It's not gambling, right? Let's talk about Bitcoin in particular. I already talked about it, but Bitcoin is neither gambling, or any responsible investment, right? Because it cannot go to zero because of its nature, right? Like even if, let's say, it goes to $1, I will buy all the Bitcoin for $1, and it will never go to $1 because another guy like me is gonna buy it at $2. And you know what? Maybe I'm gonna buy it at $3. Even if it goes, it's not gonna go to zero. It's the market who decides the price of things. And even if in the remote case that I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna be here to buy Bitcoin at $1, and it goes to zero because it breaks, or even a stock. I buy Tesla and it goes to zero. You can see that before it goes to zero, you sell at a loss and you trade it for something else. So that's not gambling. Investing is not gambling. All right. So yeah, the real thing is you should wake up to the fact that people in a position of power, like banks, like the head of a church, the Vatican, or a very powerful imam, for that matter, or even, a very powerful monk who is not really a monk, but has a lot of money and a lot of power. A lot of money, a lot of power, they corrupt. They say absolute power absolutely corrupt. So then they will tell you, or they will tell the lower priests, right? The head of the church is going to tell the other priests that Bitcoin is a scam, that investing in is a sin. And so your priest will come to you and tell you, you should not invest because we have to stay poor. We have to, be humble and all that, which is true. Like, true happiness is kind of achieved by staying humble. But saying that investing is a sin, it's a lie. And whoever is telling you that is either bad, it's either ignorant or has bad intent, right? It's he or she is corrupt himself, right? I totally respect Islam and Christianity, but if you have an imam or a priest who is telling you not to invest, not to buy Bitcoin, not to buy stocks, because it's haram, he's either corrupt, or maybe he's not corrupt. He has positive intentions, but he's ignorant. He doesn't know about the stock market. He doesn't know about Bitcoin, and he thinks it's a scam. That's okay, ignorance is common, but don't get fooled by ignorance. Be free, my friends. And yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. See you in the next one. Remember, I have a Patreon account. You can see right here, where I share not only my videos that you can see on YouTube, but very extensive explanations. I share trade alerts and history of finance with very long explanation, both in Italian and in English. So please feel free to enjoy. Feel free to subscribe and leave a like, comment, share. See you next time. Bye-bye.